Welcome to my second dev talk. Okay, so this dev talk is about basically Git. Okay, as most of you know, actually even myself, I've seen many people who think of Git as like only about like just adding, committing, and then just pushing the code, right? But I can assure you that there is much more to that, okay, than just that. So today's talk is going to be about that only, okay? I'll be covering a lot of things, including, the best conventions in terms of like, branch naming and all that. So we will see about that in this slide only. So before we start, just for those who don't know about me, basically I'm Amir. I'm working here as senior front-end engineer at Squareboat, okay? And I love building projects that really nobody cares about, but still. Okay. So moving forward with the agenda of this talk, I will be giving you a quick recap of what we already know so that everybody is on the same page, right? I'll be telling you about the branch naming conventions, differences between like hotfix and bugfix, what it is exactly, and best practices for commits, commit message conventions, and some hidden gems that maybe it may prove useful to all of you, okay, and some resources and a Q&A session at the last, okay. So starting off with the things that most of you might already know, but we will just quickly run through it, okay. So what is Git in a nutshell, right? As we all know, it is basically a version control system, right? It allows us to keep a history of our code base the way it is at any certain point of time, okay. So this is like the core workflow, how it works. We basically clone a repository, right? Either we have a branch or we create a new branch, right? We stage our changes, then we commit it, and then we merge it, right? Because we have to take a pull obviously before we push. So we merge it and then we push it, okay? So this is what it allows us to do, basically work offline. Obviously collaboration is one of the major part of Git, right? What it allows us to do. Because in large scale teams, it is very important that everybody who's working in a team on a product, those are able to collaborate efficiently, right? So yeah, a little fun fact about Git actually, Linus Torvalds, who actually is the creator of Git, he actually created Git in just 10 days, right? And that too he did because they were back then using a proprietary or commercial software, you can say, which was created by a company, but they revoked their license. So they now needed a way to store their kernel code, which they were writing at the time for Linux. So they created Git for that, which is now one of the largest version control system in the world. So throughout this talk, okay, I'll be using some keywords or jargons, as some people call it. So these are like some of the basic ones. Like repository is basically like a collection of files in any project, right? So it's a repository. Remote is basically like a hosted version, or it could be local as well, which I will show you guys. So remote could be anything like GitHub, GitLab, Bitbucket, etc., right? Origin is basically usually is just a name. It doesn't really signify anything, but sometimes people interchangeably use it to like identify any remote repository as well sometimes. Okay, so this is what is written here also, that remote and origin are sometimes used interchangeably. So don't get confused about that. Okay, so these are like some of the very basic commands, right, in Git. Git add, which allows us to stage our changes. Let's say if I make a change in any file, it will allow me to stage my changes to let Git know that something has changed in that particular file, right? And I want to do something with that. Okay, I will give you an example of this, also, but just now I'm just showing you what it is. Git commit. It allows us to freeze our changes basically at that point of time, right? Whatever changes we have made, it will basically freeze that. And like Git push, like to push our changes to the remote repository wherever it is hosted, either GitHub, Bitbucket, or anywhere else. Okay. Some of the other ones like checkout also, which allows us to create new branches, switch between branches also, and commits as well. Okay, so that is checkout. Status basically allows us to like kind of obviously check the current status of our working directory or working tree, as Git people call it sometimes. So it allows us to check the status of that, if any files have been modified or not, right? Or in which branch we are currently. Git log basically shows us a tree, right? A tree or a graph or whatever you want to call it, of all our commits, right? Whatever we have done since the beginning of the project till the very end. Okay. So what I will do is I'll just give you a quick reminder of this. I hope it is visible for everybody. It is? Or should I zoom? Okay. So I have I have created a simple folder here, and there are basically 3 different folders inside of that. Okay. So, and inside project 1, I have just one single file. Okay. So I'll just use this terminal here to show all of the things. Okay. Just quickly, I will run through these commands because the major part is after this. Okay. Yeah, okay. So let's go to project 1. Okay, so basic workflow, how it will be is, let's say I have this file here, right? File.txt. Let's assume it is a documentation, right, for my project. I'll open it up. Okay, let's check the status actually first. It says that I'm on the main branch, right? Now, I don't know, like if any of you know, but master was actually the name of the default branch earlier, before. In every, you can say, version control system or Git, right? It used to be the default branch name. But they renamed it to now main, because master, I guess, didn't really make any sense to them. So that's why. So currently there are no changes, as you can see, right? So what I will do is I will open up that file. Let's make a change, right? I'll add the usual hello world. Okay, let's save it. Now, let's check the status again. Okay. So you can see here, now it says that the file has been modified, right? It is telling me that the file has been modified. So what do you want to do? Either you can restore it or you can add it. You can stage it, right? So I will stage this file. I'll say git add. You can do it, many ways, but I'll just show you. Either you can put a dot. Putting a dot, it will basically stage everything, whatever changes you have made. But but keep in mind, in whatever directory you are, from that directory, onwards, like whatever is inside that, those only will be added, not outside that. Okay, it doesn't matter where your repository starts. Okay. Or you can provide either a specific folder or a file. Okay. So I'm just providing this file. So let's add it. Okay, let's check the status again. Now my file has been staged. Okay. Now I can commit it. Let's commit this file. Okay. There are 2 ways to do this as well. Okay. Either you can provide a message right here. Okay. In the command itself. Actually, let me make it a. Okay. Now you guys can see, right? So either I can provide a message there in the command itself, or I can just say like git commit, and it will open up an editor for me right in the command line. Now what I can do, I can write my message here as well. Let's say, okay, but I'll give it something meaningful. Okay, so I committed that file now. Okay, as you can see, it says one file has changed, one insertion and one deletion. Okay, so again, if you check the status of that, okay, so now it says my working tree is clean, right? Because I pushed the file or committed the file actually. So now I can push it as well. Okay, so let's just push that as well. There you go. Okay, so now whatever changes I made to that file, that is in some repository, either hosted on GitHub, Bitbucket, or anywhere else. Okay, so now I can look back, or anybody in my team can, or I can create a pull request, right? I can do anything with that. So you have seen all these, right? Okay, so add, commit, and push we have seen, right? Let's see, status also we have covered. Okay, just 2 commands we have left. Okay, so let's look at the checkout thing, or actually let's look at the log first. Okay, so git log, like I said, it will tell you all, everything about your repository, whatever you have committed since the starting. It will list down all the commits here, right? So I made a commit, right? Added a feature, so that is there. I made a commit earlier also, which is there also, right? Just keep note of this commit, that numeric hash that you see, right? Or alphanumeric hash that you see. Just keep a note of that. It is very important. We will discuss that, okay, in this talk as well. So just one more command, that is the checkout. Okay, so currently I'm in my main branch. Okay, let's say if I say git branch, it will list down all my branches, whatever I have created. Okay, so there are currently 2 branches are there, right? So what I will do is, let's create another branch. Okay, I will say feet, and let's just call it documentation again. Okay, so as you can see, what it did is it created that branch for me, and it also checked out in the same branch as well. So I don't have to do it manually, okay, after that. Okay, so basically that's all about the basic things, okay. You guys probably already know that. So these you can check out, okay, in my slide deck later on. So let's move on. So now focus on this. This is very important. Branch naming conventions. Okay. So what I have seen as a practice, what people sometimes do is they just randomly put any names, like fixed something, or let's say added a button, right? These kind of names people sometimes give, right? So there is actually a practice that we should follow, but why does it matter first? We should understand that. See, our work as a developer is done once we push our code, right? The actual work starts for the DevOps team to deploy it, right? Like CI/CD pipelines and all these things. So it is better that we name our branches in such a way that they are able to understand what exactly happened in that particular branch, right? When they are deploying it. So it is meaningful for them, not like, okay, yeah, you just provided a name and they're just deploying it randomly, okay? So it helps in CI/CD pipelines by clearly defining the purpose of the branch, right? Or what has happened in that particular branch. Clarifies, again, like the same thing. So it is easier for us, even as developers, to switch context, right? When we are working in different parts of our application. So these are like some of the industry used examples, right? These are some of the branch names, or you can say prefixes that companies use. So first one is like obviously feature, right? You can put like a short form like feat, like I did, right? So it that clearly defines that the branch has been used for like creating a new feature or enhancement. Bug fix or just fix, like for fixing minor bugs, right? Hotfix for urgent production fixes, right? Let's say if you deployed something and then you figure out something is broken now, right? And you have to send out a quick deployment. So for that you will use hotfix. as a prefix for your branch. Okay. Release, obviously, if it is a normal, rolling release for your, product or whatever it is, right? So you will use release for that to signify that this is the final stage of this, right? Experiment, obviously, for any experimentation, or if you have any idea that you want to implement in your project or anything. So for that you can use experiment, right, as a prefix. Chore is like basically, for any like usual maintenance tasks like optimizing, things like that. So for that you can use chore, right? So I did show you an example of this right now, right, where I created this branch with a prefix, right? So it clearly defines that in this I've added a documentation. It's not really a feature, but let's just call it that, okay? Okay. So, like again, what is the difference between a hotfix and a bug fix, right? Let's look at some of the differences. See, the purpose is different for both, right? If you're using bugfix, that is like an ongoing development that you guys are doing, right? It is not something that will be pushed out to production urgently, right? So that is the first major difference, right? This is how you will, look at that whenever you're, working with any company. So urgency, obviously hotfix are obviously prioritized, right? Whereas bug fixes are, normal things, so they don't really prioritize those things. Branch base, for bug fix you usually take, like if you have to cut a branch, right? You will basically take it from your develop or normal whatever like branch you have. Usually the development branch it is. So you take it from there. Or if it is a hotfix, you will take it from your main production branch where you push your all the final code. From there you will take take the branch. Okay. Deployment, like I said, priority is obviously for hotfix. It is deployed ASAP, whereas the bugfix goes in the next release, wherever that will be. So, example you guys can see there. Okay. So let's move ahead. Best commit practices. Okay. Like branches, there are also conventions for commits as well. Okay. So you should try your best to not like clump up a bunch of things into one single commit. All right. If you are working on any project, anything, just make atomic commits. Atomic means smaller commits, right? Bite-sized commit. If let's say you added documentation, then let there be a commit for that only. Don't add like, I added a table there, and things like that. Don't do that, okay? As a best practice, you should always try to make atomic commits. The smaller the commit is, the better it will be for you guys to revert it, right? In case anything breaks or find bugs easier. So, yeah, it covers the same thing, like review, revert, and understand. It will be easier for you guys only. Okay. So, let's move ahead. So, these are basically some of the things which you should keep in mind always when you're committing your code. See, write clear commit messages. Don't write like vague messages. For example, added a button. Where did you add the button, right? Added a button wouldn't make any sense to anybody who is looking at your commit history. So always write clear messages, right? The usual format for any commit is like you give a type, okay? Then you give a short summary. After that, you can give like a brief about like whatever you have changed, okay? But you have to sum up in that particular thing, like give a type and then a short summary. So for every commit message, they should have a type, usually referring to again what we did in that commit. This is useful as a practice because later on you will know exactly in which commit you broke or fixed the code. Okay. So different types are there for commit. Obviously, these are some of the same ones like feat, right? Fix, chore, and refactor. So this is the format that usually you guys should follow, okay, when you're committing your code. And obviously, large commits with unrelated changes, don't do that, right? Don't commit your secret files, env files, or whatever is there, right? If you're storing anything like that. So envs you should never push to any GitHub repository, okay? All right. Okay, so I will come back to this, but before we start about this, let's look at something else. So, okay, I'm gonna to close this. Okay. Okay, so see, whenever you obviously you set up your fresh system, right? The first thing you, if you have to use Git, you install is obviously the GitHub CLI, right? This is our like you can say old or gold as well. So this is the CLI that we all use, right? It doesn't matter which system it is, Mac, Windows, or anything, right? GitHub, just giving you an example of different version control systems or remote hosted repositories that there are, okay? First one is obviously the largest one, which is GitHub, okay? There is Atlassian as well, right? And there are a numbers of other as well, okay? Not these only. There is GitTio as well. There is open source alternative as well for these, which you can self-host as well. Okay, so let's go back. So these were some of the basics till now, right? Whatever you saw, either you already knew that, or these are basically some practices that you guys should follow, okay? Not enforced by anybody, but you should follow, okay? But if you're, let's say, actually I will show you one tool. How many of you have seen this tool? Anybody? Anybody seen this tool? No? So Husky, basically what it does is, let's say if you're really struggling to follow these practices, right? Then Husky is a tool which will allow you to enforce these practices in your project, okay? You install this, obviously, and what it does is it basically uses Git hooks, and that is a different concept, okay, that we are not covering here, but it uses Git hooks to basically forces all these practices so that you can't commit anything if there is no type for that commit, okay? You can't create a branch name or anything if there is no specific like format to that branch name, okay? So these kind of things you can enforce using Husky, and it is actually widely used by some of the major organizations, to enforce these practices by their developers, okay? So do give it a shot, do check it out, okay? It is open source, obviously. So yeah, let's move ahead. Okay, so many times we, or at least I saw, where people have accidentally staged something. Now they're like panicking how to get it out, right? I don't want to make a commit with this file, right? So you can like unstage your changes, or let's say if you do git add, right, you can revert that using this particular command, git reset head. Okay, so what does head means here actually? Head is nothing but it refers to the current, where your git is, right? Like current stage. It refers to that, okay? So don't get confused about that. So git reset head, what it will do is it will revert whatever you have added your changes, those it will revert back, okay? But it will not, it will not remove your changes, okay? So I'll just actually, okay, I'll show you an example of this as well, okay? So let's do that. Let's make another change. Okay, let's say I remove this exclamation mark here, okay? Now let's do git add file.txt, okay? So I added that, but I don't want to add it, okay? I don't want to push this in this commit. So what I can do is I can say git reset, okay, and then head. Now you guys can see it says unstaged changes after reset. Even actually, I know this doesn't really make some sense because most of the people use obviously VS Code, UI to handle Git, right? But as a developer, right, if you are working with servers, there is no UI there. So you have to work with CLI. So it is really important for all of us to really know, how to work with Git in CLI only. Okay. So I basically unstaged the file. Okay. Now I can make any other changes or do anything like that. So that I can do. Okay. So second one is uncommit. Okay, you can unstage the file, but what if you already committed your code? How will you bring it back, right? This is one of the things that I saw most of the people are struggling. They don't really know how to uncommit once they've done, commit all the changes. So I'll show you. Okay, let's again add, actually, let's commit this only. So I'm providing the message here only, okay? Okay. So I made a commit, but now what? Okay, I don't want to push this. So let's okay. So if you see, right, so there are two things I'll tell you, right? Either if you pass the flag, right, like soft, so what it will do is it will uncommit your changes, but it will not remove your changes, right? Whatever you made in the files, those it will not reset, okay? But if you pass it that flag hard, okay, so what it will do is it will discard every file that you have changed, okay? So it will be like back to clean working tree, okay? So here, if you see, it still says that I have that modified file, right? Even though I just committed it, right? So it basically uncommitted that particular, commit that I made. So this is actually very useful, right? Let's say you come to a certain point, right? You made like 4 or 5 commits, but you realize that those 4 or 5 commits are not really required, right? And you want to go back, or you broke something, you want to go back now, right? To a certain point. So Git revert allows you to do just that, right? You can go back to a certain point. So I'll show you that as well. So let's look at this first. Okay. So remember I told you guys about this alphabetical or alphanumeric actually hash, right? That is there. So using this only you can do a lot of things. See, I will show you. You don't need like all of it. Okay. Let's just say that I want to go back to this particular commit. Okay. Let's just take any specific amount. Minimum like 7 it is preferred. Okay. Minimum 7 values you should have. Now let's do this, okay, revert, and then I'll pass it that, okay. Okay, so it says there is a conflict there because I think I forgot to reset my changes. Okay, so let me do that. Let me actually first remove this. Hold on. Oh, okay. That file was not there. Okay, all right. Let's go back to some other commit if that is. Okay. So let's actually look at this first. What status? Log. So what do you guys see? There is only one single commit, right? So what it did, can you guys see this actually, by the way? Or it is not visible? let me actually clear this. I will show you guys one more time. Okay, so yeah, now you can see. Earlier there were 2 commits, right? But now there is only 1, right? So I basically reverted back to this commit. Okay. So obviously, like you would do this if you're like fixing any production bugs, which you may probably had in your recent commits, or if you you have a shared branch, right? Some other person did something and now you want to revert it. So in that scenario, this comes very handy. Okay. GitCherryPick, actually very great command. Okay. So I will show you a quick demo of this, how this works. Okay. So let's look at branches first. So I have 3 branches, right? Let's do something. So let's check actually if we have any changes. Yeah, we do have any changes. So let's add it, commit it. Okay. Now, oh, okay. This I will tell you. See, first time you can configure this, so it will automatically pick up whatever branch, whatever branch you are. Okay. But if you have not configured it already, it will sometimes ask you to tell it in which remote branch or which specific branch you want to push it, right? Whatever the hosted branch is, which branch you want to connect to, right? Whatever your local branch is. So you have to set a upstream. Okay, so in my case it is this thing only. So I'll just copy this. I'll tell you why. Because see, your local branch could be like, for example, feed documentation minus, right? But in remote, I could be pushing this branch to some other name, like to some other name. For example, I could be pushing it to main or some other branch randomly, whatever it could be, right? Doesn't have to be that if your local branch is named like something, it has to be named similar, in the remote as well. Okay, so okay, I did that. Now, wet branch. Okay, so I made a commit, right? But now let's check out to name. Okay. Now this normally you wouldn't do, right? Or you shouldn't actually. But I'm just giving you a demonstration, so I'm just doing that. Okay. So let's say git log. Okay. Actually, git log. And now I want to see actually what commits I made to this branch, right? So I can do that. Let's copy the name. So these are the commits, right? But these test cases are required in my main branch because I want to push them to production, right? Or whatever the scenario may be. So what I can do is I can say cherry pick. Okay. Now I'll give it that, the hash again, right? Very useful. So I did that. Okay, so it says, okay, it's giving us some error. What error it is giving? You're currently cherry picking command this, all conflict phase. Okay, so there is a conflict there. I wish to commit it anyway. Okay. The previous cherry pick is now empty, possibly due to conflict resolution. Okay, let's do something where. Okay. So I have the same commits there. Okay. Let me do one thing. And this is main branch, right? Let's try again. Actually, is my working tree clean? Okay. For now, let's do continue. But I think I'm gonna have to make another commit for this. This one I think won't work. Well, let's do one thing. Let's go back to that same branch. Fit. Let's look at the branch name. Okay, so let's say get checkout. Let's try it here. These are some of the caveats that we have with Git. Sometimes, there are conflicts and errors like this, okay? So, okay. Let me see. Okay. Let's check this one. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, currently it is not working, but you got the idea, right? What it will do basically, if you have, let's say, a branch, right? You made some changes and you committed them, right? So what it will do is it will take those changes from that particular branch and bring it, in your branch, wherever you are, okay? So, yeah, that's what it will do. Reflog, another useful command. So sometimes what happens is, I showed you guys like, git reset, right? So, or git revert, actually in this case. So sometimes what happens is like we reverted, right? But we accidentally reverted some commit that we don't want to like, revert back, right? So I'll give you an example of this, right? So this reflog you will only use in case you want to look at, if you have deleted some commit and you want to bring it back, okay, usually. So let's look at that. So you can see here, these are like all of the things that I did, right? So here, if you see, it's there is this specific, you can say commit, right? Commit hash, right? This one I resetted, right? Or reverted in this case. So let's do something about that. Okay, so what it did, right? This specific commit, there was no commit like that, right? Yeah, when I showed you the log. So I deleted that commit earlier, right? Now what I did is I basically resetted it to that particular, using the git reset command. I basically brought that commit back, okay, which was deleted earlier. Now I can check out using this into a different branch and have this commit there, okay, and then merge it later on wherever I want. So this is how you can basically bring out, bring back your, specific deleted commits. And so no need to panic in case you did that accidentally. So one last one, okay. This is something that a lot of you might, I guess relate to, okay. Sometimes, let's say you're working on a certain feature, right? You're working, let's say, adding a table or something like that. Now suddenly your project manager came and now you have to work on something else, fix an important bug, right? So I want to actually ask you guys, what do you guys usually do in that scenario? Anybody? No? Okay, well, most of you guys probably like stash your changes, right? Git stash, if you have heard of that, right? You stash your changes, you switch branches, right? You do something and then you come back to your branch and then unstash your changes, right? This is how usually it goes, or what I've seen at least. With Git Worktree, actually what it allows you to do is you can have your branch, right? And in a separate folder of the same project, you can have a different branch checked out, right? So you can check out different branches at the same time, right? So just to give you an example of that, I'll show you. Actually, here only I will show you. So if I say like Git Worktree list, okay. So what do you guys see here? Okay, let me actually make it a bit clear for you all. Okay, so what do you guys see here? It says that I have project 1, okay, and in that particular folder, these are folders only, okay. So in project 1, I have a branch checked out, which is feed documentation, right? This branch you guys saw in my project, right? And I have another project, another folder here, project 3, in which I have a different branch checked out, right? Which is chore documentation, right? So now what I can do, let's say I was working on this, right? But I don't want to, like I have some urgent changes that I want to make, right? I can have a different folder where I have a different branch checked out and I can work there, push there, it will push to that branch only, okay? And I can do everything that you guys normally do or I do, right? In any of these folders, okay? So I'll give you a quick demo of this also. So to create, let's say, actually let me first remove the existing one. Okay, I need the ID. Hold on. Okay, so currently I only have one work tree, okay? This is where I'm working. Now let's assume that I want to work in the main branch for whatever reason, right? Now what I will do, I'll create a new work tree, okay? I'll say add. I'll give it a folder name. Now this folder doesn't have to be inside of your project, okay? It could be anywhere, literally anywhere in your system, okay? It doesn't have to be inside your repository itself. So I'm again like creating the same folder, okay? Now I want, in this particular folder, I want to work in main branch, okay? So I'll just do that. It says preparing work tree, head is now at this particular commit and I'm basically in the main branch, right? So just to show you guys in the editor itself, if I open up, I think it is a bit too small, but yeah. See, in project 1, I have this file, right? File.txt. In project 3, if you see, I have the same replica of the same project that I have, right? So this folder didn't actually exist before, right? Actually, Git created this with all the files and folders, everything. So don't have to clone again, don't have to do anything like that again, okay? It will automatically create a replica for you so that you can continue your work, okay? So now, just to tell you guys, whatever changes I make, right? Whatever changes I make here, and if I add, commit, and push, those will be pushed into main branch, okay? And if I, let's say, change something inside project 1 specifically, so those will be, pushed into, whatever branch is checked out in that particular folder, okay? So again, like if I show you, again, you can see that it says that inside project 1, I'm inside this particular branch, and inside project 3, project 1, I was there, and in project 3, I'm in main branch, okay? So this is how basically you can like effectively work in different branches without having to, disturb your code base or whatever you're doing, okay? It helps you quickly like get up and running with whatever you were doing earlier. Similar use cases like for hotfix, you can do this, right? Avoid stash and switch, because sometimes what happens is you get conflicts in that also, right? And yeah, bonus, keep your main repo clean and separate. So just one last thing I have to show you guys, then we are, I think, done. So this, we all know that we check out branches, right? Or we switch branches. But what if I tell you that you guys can also check out commits as well, right? Like, let's say you are working on a project, React project or Python project, whatever it is, right? You made some commits, right? That you are, long ahead of your things, right? Now, let's say you want to go back to a certain point in the project and see like how it was working back then, right? So let's look at that just quickly, okay? So let me remove this, actually not needed. So let's say git log, okay? So here's the history of all the things, right? Now I want to like look at, let's say, like what I did in this like added introduction file, right? What did I do there? So what I can do is I can say, like, let's take this commit hash again, okay? And I can say git checkout to that particular hash or to that commit, okay? So now what happened? It took me to that particular commit. Now I'm in my code base, I'm at that stage, okay? I can see what I changed there, or I can run it, right? See how it was back then, the code base, right? And to go back, now all I have to do is I can say git checkout dash, okay? And now it brought me back to where I was, okay? And you can do this for a specific file, for a specific folder, or your entire project, okay? If let's say you have deleted something in one branch, you accidentally deleted something, in another branch it exists, right? And you want to bring it back. You can check out from that branch all your files into this branch and it will bring it back, okay? So these are like pretty useful ways actually. I won't be able to cover everything here because the session will be a bit too long if I cover everything. But yeah, I want to just tell you guys, explore a lot about all these commands that I've showed you, right? There are n number of possibilities with everything, okay? So just some resources for all of you guys, okay? Documentation, obviously the first thing that every developer should look into, okay? This is the first one by Git itself, okay? So you can look into that. And also there is a pro Git book, which you can also look at, right? So all these resources, the slide deck will be available post this talk, okay? If you guys are a bit, like leaning towards, let's say UI, right? You want the GUI, then you can look into these things, okay? Learn Git branching, which is a visual playground actually. You can look into that, it will be very interactive, right? And this is just some meme platform that they've built, oh shit Git. So you can look at that as well. So from whatever I have showed you guys, right? Ignoring the mess that happened with the cherry pick, but you got the concept, right? So apart from that, any questions, any queries, anything, you guys can ask me freely. Nothing? Yeah.
Worktree is it always जब हम पीले भी चेकआउट करते हैं तो हमारे क्यूटी रिपोर्ट्स में फाइल होते हैं उस पर क्या हो जाएगा?
Those will remain as it is. Nothing will change. In your working tree, nothing will change. It is the same replica of the code base that you have. So I'll give you a simple example. See, let's say if you have ignored something, right, in let's say main branch, but in another branch it is not ignored. Then if you create a work tree in that branch, it will not be ignored because it was never ignored, right? So these things will not be affected. Okay, any other question? No? Okay, well, you guys can reach out to me in case you are struggling with Git or anything related to what I just showed you guys, okay? And for better understanding also, you guys can, look at these resources which I have just showed you, okay? So yeah, that's all. Thank you guys.